Good morning and welcome along to the very first build-up of the 25-26 season. I say good morning, this will go out at 5 o'clock tonight, but whatever you make of it. We are joined on this episode by Irvine Meadow manager Jamie McKim and a guest host in Ben Grant, who obviously did the official podcast, the official catch-up podcast with the Lowland League. It's now not doing very much. Guys, how are we doing?
Not bad, Paul. Good to be here.
Very well. Thanks for inviting me on again, mate.
It seems like you might be the only person that comes on, mate. People will be sick of both of our faces. Anyway, first episode, we probably should have done, we're 5 games into the season, right? Personal circumstances for myself didn't allow me to get cracking as quickly as I would have liked, but we're back now, and I think the plan is PG and Des, they'll be back in the next week or so as well, and they're back in the studio at the end of the month. But Jamie, how are we? How's the last 6-7 months you've been at it? No, it's a wee bit longer than that, isn't it? January, aye, 6-7 months in at Irvine Meadow. Top of the league. That's no bad.
Well, I'd rather say good start. It's just too early to look at the leagues in it. But no, listen, I've enjoyed it since I went in. Obviously, a big change over the summer. And we've started well. So everything's good at the moment. But again, it's just trying to continue that and make sure we stay in good form.
Jamie, obviously the battle last season was to make sure you stayed in that division. And I know when we done the preview show, if I remember rightly, we had it as Irvine Meadow, Gart, Cairn and Darvel. I tipped Darvel to win it. But what do I know? Do you know what I mean? The Darvel probably not had the greatest of starts, but they had an excellent pre-season. You guys had a good pre-season and have kind of preempted that form into the 25-26 campaign. How do you go about maintaining those standards now, mate?
See, to be honest, Paul, people say it's all cliche that you need to just try and make sure you win the one game at a time, and that really is it, because every team brings a different challenge.
Yeah,
I think when you look at our games so far, with Muirkirk, Benbub, Peters Hill, I can't even remember the fourth one, but they all bring the different challenge at Villa Clyde, and in each, I think we went behind in 3 of the games, which has been a wee bit of an issue for us, but every game's been tough. There's not been one that we've went far and away and absolutely back that. The Benbub score looks really convincing, being 4-0, but that's probably the game where we had least of the ball in, and the first hour it was really competitive. And then I thought towards the end it was more comfortable, but you just need to keep going, because as I said, I've said it before, that league is horrible and anybody can beat anybody. I've said it so many times, and people, no problem with Premier League. Premier League's a good football league, very good football league. The league we're in at the moment is different challenges every week. And see, I'll give you the example. See, when we went to Villa Clyde, that was so tough. So tough. And I don't think they've started particularly well. They've obviously dropped quite a number of points. But that was so tough. That could have went either way towards the end of that game, you know. But it's about finding ways to win, making sure you keep that momentum going and trying to pick up as many points as you can. So I'm just thankful we've done that so far.
Ben, myself, we've both been in that league, you know, as media guys and in positions at clubs. We know how difficult. But I think I've described it as probably the hardest league to get out of in Scotland. It's a bit different this year, isn't it, with no relegation and obviously, however the Premier League ends up, then there's obviously going to be, you know, maybe 8 to 10 teams go up in that. Does that make your season a wee bit different, Jamie? Do you approach it differently, or are you approaching it the exact same way as you would approach a normal 3 up, 3 down season?
We're not approaching it any differently. What I would say with that, I think we're approaching it differently in terms of, obviously I was at the game for a wee while, and I think our approach now is different towards it. But we obviously want to go up, but we want to go up well. We want to be in that top 3. We want to be as convincing as we can. We want to finish as high up as we can. But listen, I'm not naive enough to know that there's good sides. I know you said you tipped Darvel there. That's an example of another top team. Them, Gart, Cairn, who teams that have dropped points, but they're going to be so strong this season, and it's a marathon, you know. So it's got to be fighting every. I know I said it already. It's every single game having to be at it.
Penny, you getting for Jamie?
I was going to say, obviously, from a Buffs perspective, I want to see Meadow do pretty poorly if I can. But I think, in terms of looking at what you've done this season, it's been a good job. And even last season, being able to stay in division, because I think, that was probably a challenge for you. You'd probably agree with that at one point. You will maybe looking at it like, this is a tough gig I've come into, and you've done pretty well. So it certainly seems like on the right track. And with the way it is now, you still want to win the league. That's every team's going to be the same. Even those eight positions to go up, you still want to go up as champions if you can, get the trophy and have the party and all that sort of stuff. So I'm sure the medal will be all right. And this will be the nicest I'll ever be, as I say, about the medal at any point, at any lifetime. So don't be clipping that and sticking it in TikTok, Paul.
Ben, see, to be honest, it's one of the ones. See, if you don't want to win the league, what are you doing?
Exactly.
If you can't say that and be honest about it, then you're kidding yourself. And that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to be top. We're trying to be the best. And if you don't want to be the best, I think you're the wrong game. So,
Jamie, do you think that'll be the same message for Michael and McStay at Gartcairn? Given that like I said, I tipped you guys, Darvo and Gartcairn to be sort of the top three. Like I said, I know it's potentially 8 to 10 to go up. But there's also teams like that have started quite well, like Thornywood. Listen, by the way, the Rockers started fantastically as well. Cumbernauld United decent at Dawson Winton Rovers. As a message for those managers, is there a realism? Look, let's just get top 8, or is every gaffer turning around and saying, look, we need to go and win this. We need to go and win the league. We need to go and be the best we can.
I believe the majority of the managers, if not everyone, will set out with that ambition at the start of the season. Some more realistic than others, but that's what I think the ambition would be for most.
Is it not going to be quite dangerous though if you start saying, it's right, we'll just make sure we make top 8? Because if you get a bad run, maybe just try to hit 4th, 5th, 6th, you could end up out of it and end up in a different division next season. And every team, with the opportunity is there to go up is going to have to try and hit as high as you can just in case you do hit a sticky spell. That league
is mental at the best of the time. I think because of that split, the eight are between 8 and 10 going up, and then obviously no relegation this season. But surely every team in that league must have ambition. I know I'm looking at the bottom side of it now. Lanark, Kirkcudbright, Roy, Valley Clyde. Jamie mentioned there that Valley Clyde have picked up 1 win in 5, but it was one of the toughest games he's had. That just kind of shows how difficult that league is, isn't it? But you can go to the bottom of the table and it'd be a right tough division. I remember the season we won, Drumchapel won the league. We played Maple on the last day of the season. Pardon the dog just having a wee wander about here. This is why the audio version's so much better than the video. But I remember Maple, we set our stall out really well to go win that game, but Maple had relegation to save, So I think we're right in saying that division is going to be so hard, and every team's going to want to try and do well.
100%.
Right, we are going to move on to that Scottish Cup tie. Ben said off air he was a wee bit gutted that it was Johnson Burry drew.
I don't think I was gutted. I think that was what I used. I think I just said it was unfortunate that.
Unfortunate, not gutted.
Always right.
We'll get the words there. Jamie, you mentioned that you were quite happy to go and take him. Obviously, when I was watching the Twitter feed on it, I seen there was quite an early sending off, and it's really an uphill task there. How important was the Scottish Cup for Irvine Meadow this year? What sort of stall did you guys set on it?
See, from a personal point of view, I wanted to go as far as you can, and I think I was speaking to Brian, the Johnston Borough chairman, just before the game, and I was saying, see when you're involved in it, everybody dreams of the big tie, and having that one where you get the big name, whether it's home, whether it's away, you want to go as far as you can, and you want that, and that's. See, getting into the game on Saturday, I was full of belief that we could go and get a result. But obviously that the early red card changed the game in terms of, well, I didn't think it changed the game straight away. I thought we were the better team for 60, 70 minutes.
He's went 1-0 with the red card, wasn't it? And then you went 1 each.
So, see with the red card, we conceded a free kick in the edge of the box and they scored for it. So at that point, you're thinking we should just let them go through and score because you do it anyway. But I thought honestly we were a better team in the first half. Felt we were better in possession. We had more an idea of what we're trying to achieve in terms of causing them problems. Because we'd worked a wee bit in what we do when we go down to 10. And then when we equalised, I'm thinking, right, give it 10, 15 minutes, try and stay in the game. And then we'll try and want towards the closing stages. But I was waiting to make 2 subs. And they went ahead. And at that point, we never recovered. I thought you could see they've got absolutely top quality players in their team. And I thought they really punished us in the closing stages with their quality. Made the extra man work. And it was just one of the ones when the second goal went in, I seen the kind of belief sap out of us a wee bit.
I think I just have to be nice about Johnson Borough. I've been accused of not being so nice about them and over the last year. I don't genuinely think that's the truth, but I made a wee comment on one of the pre-season games and it was brought up on social media. But listen, I've said before, I like what they're doing and all the bits and bobs that's going on behind the club. There'll always be people with their opinions. We've had it with Darvel, we've had it with Gartcairn, Drumchapel, St Cadoc's. People's opinions are always going to be what they are. Jamie, the season ahead for you. You mentioned it's a sort of game by game. What's your personal ambitions? Matching with the players, what you telling the players? What's a successful season for you?
For us, it's obviously making sure that we go up in a convincing manner.
Yep.
Obviously, we have a big game coming up next Friday night as well. After we go by the Ardrossan game and Saturday in the Meadows game, and then you want to go deep in the competitions. Listen, I just want to win as many games as we can. Finish as high in the league as we can and do the best we can every single week. I think a big message of mine to the players this year was we're going to be there training twice a week, playing once a week. We need to maximise what we're doing when we're there and don't waste any of the time we've got. Make sure that we're always at our best and just try to maximise what we have. Make the best of it.
Any plans to strengthen the squad now or further down the line?
Aye. I think it'll be an ongoing process. Listen, see at this level, guys don't want to be sitting on a bench or not in a squad or not involved. Everybody wants to play. They wanted to go and watch. They'd buy season tickets at big clubs or whatever, So yeah. I think guys will be sitting in my bench or not in my squads will be wanting to move on. And that's just football at this level. And when that happens, we've got a list of targets of players that if people want to move on, that's who we look to go and try and get. But listen, it's something that you need to try and make sure if there is movement that you're strengthening your squad rather than weakening.
I think this right now we're game 5, aren't we? This would probably be the time that players will look about and go, probably not. Maybe a perfect example, and I don't mind bringing it up. A guy McCoy at Drumchapel, he sat on the bench for the first 3 games of the season. Did he come off? I can't remember, but he's with Benburb and he's made an instant impact there. He scored a couple of goals the other night there, and he's obviously doing well. There'll be players on benches, won't there? Looking for those sort of moves.
Definitely. See the now we're sitting in a space where I feel my squad's really, really strong, but I also think there's guys sitting on my bench who really are too good to sit on a bench and not playing, and they'll be hungry to play, and it's down to me to make sure that I give that opportunity. But I think that will also drag the best out of the others, and I just hope that we manage to keep that squad as strong as we can throughout the course of the season, so as it enables us to go and challenge in every front there is.
Ben, just before we move on to the fixtures, you want to add to that, mate?
No, I think Jamie's right when it comes to the squad. I know Kilwinning have been labelled as stockpiling players, but
I've seen that, mate. I've seen that.
A certain manager in the lower leagues of the west of Scotland, but I mean, for us, it's like we've got 9 out. We played, obviously, we'll probably come on to Drumchapel at some point in the game on Tuesday, but we had 9 out on that on Tuesday night. From a squad of 28 or something. So
don't tell Hope of that, man.
Struggling with injuries, in terms of a couple of guys out long term and guys just working their way back. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. But there's a lot of good players out there, like Jamie said, that are sitting in benches, and you think, well, they could walk into first teams and many squads, and do they want to sit there and play, or do they want to go out and play? I think that's the thing you've got to kind of figure out yourself and as a player. And, you're happy. Obviously teams are paying good money. I'm sure we'll mention that at some point, and some guys are just happy to take their dough and sit, which is the type of football we're in now. It's a different world from 4 or 5 years ago, and certainly I got involved in. Some guys are just happy to collect dough, and that's the way it is. Maybe some places, and other guys just want to play for the love of the game. So it'll be interesting to see the moves and around the squads in the next few weeks.
That's actually the part of the season I love, Ben. Before we move on to the fixtures, I think it's only fair, given you're the guest host today, that we put you on the spot with some of the divisions. So we're going to pop into the Premier. You got the leagues in front of you?
Yeah, go for it.
Well prepared, right? So
pro here.
Do you want to predict your champion only, or do you want to do the top 8 for the Premier and we'll predict champions for the rest of the league?
Go for whatever you think. Would you?
Give me your top 8 for the Premier Division. We'll
top
just
8.
say 8 now. We know that it can be 10, right, or potentially 10. But give us 8.
I'll give you 7 because I'm obviously going to say Kilwinning as one of my
100%.
One of my hopeful Kilwinning. I think for me, Troon played us a few weeks ago. Look excellent. They're like an absolute great side. I think they'll be right up the top. Auchinleck obviously have started strong. Yeah. They've come into a new period. They've got some good players in and look really capable. After that, I mean, obviously Drumchapel, I think, despite the feat result on Tuesday night, I think they're still a good side and will be right up there. Cumnock, another one. Johnston Borough. And then after that, I think it's a wee bit more difficult. Probably St Cadoc's will do well. I think they have signed some good players and they probably have ability to go and get more players in if they want to.
You've got one more. That's 7. You've got one more.
One more. I'll go. I think I'm going to say Beath. I think from a recruitment perspective, I think they've recruited well and obviously new manager might be interesting. But let's go with that. Between Beath or Lags, I think Lags are obviously a capable side, but again, feel like they maybe just in a wee bit of a transition. They obviously
even Lags probably not the sides that they've been the last sort of couple of days.
I think with Lags, I think losing Folds is a big miss for their midfield, and seeing them in pre-season, they weren't the side they were used to seeing, and that's the thing for Lags. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting, and after that, I think they could be in at the bottom end of the table. Obviously, no relegation, so it doesn't really matter too much, but it'll be interesting.
Give me a champion. Give me a champion from the first division.
I think I'm going to go with Gartcairn. Sorry, Jamie.
Ben, I would never have expected you to say Irvine Meadow, even if you really thought it.
I've got a face to save. I
know that. By the way, you did tell me off here you thought we would win the league, but that's all right. You can carry on.
Of course.
So we're going Gartcairn for that division. Let's pop into the second division, which I think I've said before. I think second division quite similar sometimes to that first. You can't quite tell it. If I remember rightly, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong off air, not off air, but online or on Twitter, I'm sure I had Thorn on to get back promotions. But not only that, I think they might even win this league. What about yourself, Ben?
Yeah, I was going to say Thorn. I think even they've still not lost a game, played 4. I think they've got a good side, good young, talented players, and boys. I always think that you can definitely make a step up and sign for clubs in the first or in the Premier Division, but also really bought into what they're trying to do at Thorn. So I think Thorn will be the champions again, and will be in.
I think Jamie knows a wee bit about Thorn. Am I right in saying that? Know a wee bit about them, Jamie, just being for that area?
I watched them a few weeks ago against They were really good.
So the boy, they kind of they play around the boy Nathan up top, don't they? The boy Nathan McClellan. That's kind of the out ball on it. If they lose him, did they become a different team?
I would say so.
They
have some really good young players. I think young boy Jamie Peake that plays in the middle looks really good. Obviously, one of my ex-boys, Rory Clark's new captain there. I think they've changed the goalie recently as well, for what it seems. So they've got good players. They obviously brought Sean Daly in from my brother's team in the summer that played for me before as well. So they're a good side, but listen, it's a long season. They just need to keep that form up if they want to do well. I think they'll have a close challenge with 3 there as well. I think they'll do really well.
The third division, Ben emulates very much similarly to the fourth division last year with Port and Knightswood kind of up the top there, both sort of teams that could maybe go out and bring a better quality player into the team. Who would you tip for that?
I think I'd probably just go for Port, and it'll be close. Like I think you say, I think Port have got experienced boys that know what they're doing in this level of football, and I think that'll be the difference. I know Glasgow Union are sitting top now, but no, I think Port for me will be the one to watch.
Maybe you guys can correct me on the prediction show that we did a couple of weeks ago. The boys are quite they were right for Craig Mark this season. Has something changed in there that I maybe don't know about? Any of you guys know? There seemed to be, because they didn't have the greatest of seasons last year. I'm just that seemed to be quite a. I mean, PG had them, right up there. They're sitting sixth now. Yoker had an okay start. I think, if I'm right in saying, actually, Ardea Thistle were tipped. They are 2 wins, 2 wins, a draw, and 2 losses. Is that a start befitting potential champions? 2 wins, a draw, and 2 losses. What do we think now?
The start's only a start, isn't it? It really is. Like they could go and win their next 5, their next 6. It's the same as I'm saying about ours. We've won. You could go and lose the next couple, and it means nothing. So it's a long season, and it's dependent how they go. I think Ardea's always a horrible place to go. Really, they make it so tough for you.
They do.
So I watched Yoker and St Ant's on Friday night as well. I thought Yoker were really good. They went down to 10 men.
How do you manage to get out to so much football? What's the tips and tricks? Because I think I get
a very forgiving wife. I think it sounds like
a very forgiving wife.
She was in a Hindu, so I was just trying to keep myself
making the most of it. Then, mate.
And my young goalie's out on loan at Yoker, so it was me going having a look.
Nah, fair dues. Ben, the last division, the fourth division, mate. I had to look overs, I'm sure, for that. What's your thoughts?
I'm going to go with the Irvine Victoria. I think they've started.
Actually, well. I remember now. I had Wishaw for this. By the way, I remember now. I had Wishaw for this, and then went and looked at the pre-season results. You're going Irvine Victoria. What's the thinking behind that?
I think it started well, and I think they've got a good lot of hungry young players that some players that Jamie will know maybe from their time at Irvine Meadow, and certainly the step down to the fourth division will let them go and go out to play football and play week in, week out, and they're a good 20 side, I think, as well. A lot of them come from the Irvine Meadow 20s, so who I think maybe won the league maybe a year or 2 back, and obviously Ben Carson's a manager in there too, and he'll know the place really well, and I think they've got good experience in amongst that, as well as the youth players, and we've got one boy out in loan, Sam Truesdale, was out there too with them. He's a forward scoring goals, so I think they're very, very capable and right up there. But I still think Jamie won the Murmis Derby, though. I think it'll be all right.
Irvine Victoria won it last year, didn't they?
Yep.
Am I right in saying that? Go and get that.
I looked before Jamie, though, so it's all right. We can.
What's that?
I looked before Jamie got the job, wasn't it?
Yeah, fair dues. Irvine Meadow. Irvine Victoria won it last year, right? But we'll add those predictions, Ben, onto our wee bit of paper that we've got them down, and we'll review them at the end of the season. Right, fixtures. Just before we do that, proud sponsor of Pyramid Promotions and this episode is VSN Sport. If you're looking for bespoke kit for your club, then you contact Gary on 0141 883 7612 at VSN. Am I right in saying VSN do Irvine Meadow as well now? No. Right, scrap that. They definitely do Kilwinning. So a good testament. Give us your testament.
I love working with VSN. I think the fact they do the bespoke kits. For us wearing blue and white hoops, it's hard to buy a decent blue and white hoop top from Adidas's and Jomas of the world. So it's good to get whatever you want, and the staff up there are really helpful and always go above and beyond. With Helen up there, and she's great. Does his
manager for my amateur team as well. She's excellent.
does us a solid every time we're stuck for something. She bails us out. So, no, I would go to VSN every day of the week if I can.
And if you're the Irvine Meadow chairman and you're listening, go to VSN, all right? Right, fixtures, trips. We have a mixture, very limited league action due to the South Challenge Cup kicking off this week, but we'll dive into the Premier Division. I'm sure there's one fixture there. When I checked earlier on, there's one fixture. Beef Juniors, Auchinleck Talbot. Ben, you said there that you thought Bede would have a decent enough season. It's at Bellsdale Park, 2 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. Will they have a good enough season to beat Auchinleck at home? How do you see that one panning out?
I don't think so. I think Auchinleck have started so well that probably every year people kind of write off Auchinleck a wee bit, thinking they're done and they're past it and they're rebuilding and all this. And then maybe last season they didn't start so well, but they've come out the blocks flying. And Tucker does what Tucker does. He builds good squads and recruits good players. And they look capable. Bede have recruited well. I think Liam McGonigal coming in there to in the wing, and they've just recently brought in Thomas Collins on loan, which is a great pickup for me in terms of players that they need in their team. So I don't think. I think Auckland will win it, but it'll be I think a closer game than some of the Auckland games so far.
We've had Clydebank win last year. Bede won the Premier Division 2 years prior to that. It almost feels like Tucker's had those sort of 2-3 years to. A rebuild would be the right word. Is that why they're probably a danger this year? Because Tucker does what Tucker does, and the management team does what they do. Players do what they do. Auchinleck have a specific way of playing. You can see that when you get down there, and it's really hard to play against. Is it Auchinleck Talbot's time again, do you think?
No, I think so. I think looking at what they're doing, and of course, everyone will talk about Johnston Borough being the favourites and got a star-studded lineup of players, but maybe that Auchinleck, when it gets into the trenches in December, January, when we're pushing for a title, I think Auchinleck will just have a wee bit more. And I think Auchinleck, for me, good side, always have been, but coming out the other side, and those boys maybe brought in 2 or 3 years ago have had 2 or 3 years experience playing at this level, and now they're some boys I, to be honest, had never heard of until Tucker signed them, and now you look at them going like they are the top players in this division.
As I said, Tucker does what Tucker does. Jamie, your thoughts on the Bede Auchinleck Talbot game on Saturday?
I think looking at Auchinleck this year, they've got a lot more. They're more athletic this year. I think they've got a lot more legs in their team. We played them in pre-season, and I was really impressed with some of the trialists that were in, some of the boys that he's brought in. I think they look much better, and I do. I think they'll be up the top end as well. I think they'll do really well this season. I think it's Saturday. By the way, we played Bede as well, and I thought Bede are different. Really well organised.
Yeah.
Really well organised. Not as much energy and legs, I wouldn't say, but they've got quality, and I don't think they'll concede many. So
Bede are sorry, Jamie. Bede are kind of like what Auchinleck were 3 years ago. Bede went and won the league a few times under Straney. It's not worked out for whatever reason with the previous regime, and they went appointed a new manager. Is that maybe? Do you see that maybe being the case for Bede over the next year or two? That it is going to be a bit of rebuilding, getting the right players on the park and stuff like that again.
Probably too early to say exactly how it's going to play out. But I was really impressed with them in this. I didn't think they would gel as quickly as they had. But when they came, I thought they were really well organised, really aggressive. They spoke well. I think they've put experience in the right places in their team, and I think they'll probably have a better season than some would have tipped them at the very start when they didn't have many recruited before they had done any work as such. But I think they'll do all right. I do. But I think, as I said, I think Auchinleck should have too much for them on Saturday.
Let's pop into that first division. A few league fixtures. What's that? Sorry.
2 more games in the West Prem.
Is there? Not bad. I've only got that one down.
Shots.
Oh, silly Paul. I only had that one down, my bad. So, my bad. Port Lars, Rutherglen and shots. Let's talk about Port Lars. 2 o'clock kickoff at Newlands Field on Saturday. I bumped into him actually at the the Cumbernauld Colts Clydebank game a couple of weeks ago, and I have Pollock in my top 8 to 10. Right, I think what I said was really imperative for Maxi this year was having Josh in. I really like Josh as a coach. I think he's a right type of guy to try and have Pollock playing football. They haven't started brilliantly, but and they've got an excellent win with 10 men, albeit it was the last minute, I think. But they've managed to go and do what Drumchapel didn't manage to do a few weeks prior to that, and that was beat Rutherglen Glencairn. What's your thoughts on Pollock this season, Jamie? I know it's a huge rebuild, probably putting you in the spot a little bit there, but what's your thoughts on Pollock this season? Is it now another rebuild, isn't it? Maxi's been quite vocal with that anyway.
I think it's a massive challenge for them. I think it'll be really tough if I'm being completely honest. But listen, I think they've done well. I think they were down to 10 men on Saturday and won a game in the last kick.
Aye, they did. They wanted Bob McKim to go last minute.
See, to be able to do that, it's no like they've obviously recruited from the lower leagues, and I think they've obviously done that with the knowledge of the players. They've not just went and plucked names out of a hat or whatever. They've went and done the research on it. And by the way, there is gems there that you can go and pick up. But I think it could be tough with so many of them. They have got a wee bit of experience sprinkled throughout their team, but I think it's a big ask for them to go and get into that top 8 this year. I hope they do, because I like the guys there. I like Josh as a coach. I think he tries to play the right way.
Yeah.
Really attractive stuff, but I think you'll need more than that to be in that top 8. I think they'll need to do really well.
Largs Thistle not had the greatest of starts either, given their form. I know their form dipped a little bit towards the end of last season, but you almost expect just a wee bit more from this side. Ben alluded earlier on in the show that they've obviously lost their big captain, which is, you take that out of any team, a player that has ability, you're going to struggle. Maybe not so much a rebuild for Arnie, but maybe just trying to bring the right players in and getting a run of games a run of wins, I suppose.
I actually think that the expectancy in Largs, it's higher because of how well Arnie's done over the years.
Aye.
It's not. I think people expect so much from him because he's made so much of what he's got. He's really that's what I was saying earlier about maximising what you've got, and he's done that every single year. And I think last year, when you look how well they obviously went into the semis of Scottish, and there's probably a disappointment about how they started this season, but that's because he set the standard so high. But listen, there's no doubt they'll have a strong season because he's a good manager. He knows the league, and if they do hit wee bumps, he'll know how to fix it. He'll know if he needs to recruit. He knows what he's doing.
Rutherglen Glencairn, shots born accord at the Hamish beat Allen Stadium, 2:00 kickoff on Saturday also. How do we see that one panning out, lads? Jamie, I'll go to you first. How do you see that one panning out? That looks like it's almost like you look at that and go, that's a draw. You just look at it and go, that's a draw.
You know what's funny? See when we talk about shots, I never ever. I know this might sound strange, but you can never see shots losing convincingly, if losing at all. I think they're always really hard to play against. They're aggressive, they cause you problems, and they're well organised. Again, John's teams are always, they kind of reflect each year. They're always similar, although it might be different personnel in it. But I think Rutherglen play good stuff as well.
Shots have kind of had a similar start to what they did like last year. They've Shots are one of the ones that have only played a handful of games. I think maybe those midweek fixtures didn't get popped in there for them. Maybe the only answer to that. 2 draws and a loss. They drew with Renfrew 1 each last night. Got beat off their Largs at home, which again you don't really ever expect, and they drew 1 each with Glenafton at the beginning of the season, and that's what I said. Sometimes when you look at a Shots game, you go, that's a draw. It's got a draw written all over it. Do you know what I mean?
Always close to games, whatever way they go.
Aye, 100%. Right, we'll go into the first division now. That was well spotted, Ben. Thanks very much, mate. Could have ended up with some unhappy people there. First division, we have who do we have? Darvo, Muirkirk, Irvine Meadow, Ardrossan Rovers, Petershill, Kirkcaldy, Roy, and the rest of them are in action. I suppose the best place to start would be at Meadow Park with you. With you, Jamie, how are you setting the stall up? Are you expecting a difficult game on Saturday when Minton Rovers, is it?
Really difficult. They took 6 points off us last year. So I know they're a well-organised team. By the way, I was really impressed with how Gavin had them playing. I played them not last season, the season before. I was at Johnston Borough. Played them in the first pre-season game. That's the first time I'd seen Gavin at Ardrossan. And they were really good. They played some really good stuff, caused us problems. They keep the ball well. But getting into Saturday, it's one that we approach obviously really positively with the form we're in.
Yeah.
We'll set up the same as we always do and try and make sure we take the points, but it's going to be tough. Listen, Marky does our media is sick of me saying it every week that they're all tough games and whatever, but they really are. You know what I mean? Petershill on Tuesday was horrible. I thought they were excellent against us, and Ardrossan Saturday doesn't get any easier.
The typical first division, in it. It's a difficult game. No matter what. I'm talking about difficult games. I do some stuff for Muirkirk. I've not actually had a chance to speak to Ross yet, but they're away to Darvo. Newly promoted Muirkirk away to relegated Darvo for the Premier League last year. How do you see that one panning out, Ben?
I think firstly Muirkirk are a really good side. They've done really well in the last few years. We played them in the Cup last year and gave us probably one of the toughest games in the whole last season. So I think Ross is a up-and-coming manager, building a good squad and get the right experience in there. And, I think they'll do well against Darvo. I think I genuinely think they'll get a result. Darvo, like we said, haven't started the best, and I don't know if there's just a feeling at Darvo sometimes that it's not the same Darvo as it was 2 years ago, and everyone may be this big team that's going to go out and smash everyone, and they're not. They're starting to find maybe that level, I think, personally, and Mick Oliver's a good manager, probably in there in difficult circumstances because it isn't maybe what he came into before, but he's still got very good players. He's still got talented individuals in that squad. But for me, I think Muirkirk will just be that kind of dogged and tough to play against, and they'll certainly, I think they'll surprise a few on Saturday against Darwin.
Muirkirk have got a few really, really top young players, really, really good potential. When we played against them the first day of the season, they went 1-0 up, then 2-1 up, and they were well organised that day. They've got Ali Taylor playing in the middle of the pitch, Boyd Doyle at centre back, so they've got that bit of experience. And then they've got legs running about it. The boy at left back, Lewis Bartley, was very good against us. It was Ethan Drew, I think it is, that plays the centre forward. Scored 2 goals. He was excellent. And there was a boy that played wide right. It's Jamie. I can't remember his second name, but I seen him in a pre-season game at Renfrew, and then against us. But there's a few of them there that I think could go and progress and go up the leagues and do really well over the next couple of years.
I think what you mentioned there, Muirkirk are obviously the spawn of a Benburb 20s side, but what they've done is they've brought in a few experienced boys. I remember Sempe obviously at Kilwinning as well. I think right experience, probably played top level amateur for a long time, and I think if I remember rightly, Tiff plucked him for a 35s team that he was playing with, and he's ended up down playing at Kilwinning Rangers at a latter part of his career where he's never really bothered with that level of football. He's went into Muirkirk, and I know from doing some of the media work for Muirkirk, he's been on the bench the last couple of weeks, but I think for Ross it's important to have those experienced players in it, sprinkled in amongst, legs, youth, almost, isn't it, Jamie?
I think particularly when it's all right when everything's going well and you can have young players going all the time and everything positive, but see if you hit real kind of hard times, if you lose a few games or whatever, you need that experience to keep you balanced. And young players, their head can go down at a bad game or a couple of bad results, their heads can go, and I think that's where the experience comes in to really help you and stabilise you. So that'll be important for them over the season, but I think Muirkirk will have a really good season. It was a really tough game against them, and I do think they'll do well. I've not seen Darvo yet, so I couldn't comment on them. Obviously I speak to Conor McGlinchey regularly, played for me previously, but I couldn't comment because, as I said, I've not seen them at all.
See, like Muirkirk in years gone by, and I don't mean any disrespect when I say this. I really don't. But you seen a Muirkirk and you were almost thinking, "Oh, we're guaranteed a win." Ross has changed the whole whole philosophy, the football club, and you're now looking at Muirskirk as a potential banana skin. You know what I mean? See if you're a top team in that league, or perceived to be a top team in that league, and you're going to Muirskirk or playing Muirskirk, it's not going to be like it used to be, is it?
This is, for me, the highest compliment you could pay them is that's the best Muirskirk team I've seen.
100%.
I don't think you can speak any higher than that. It's we won in the first day, but when we go back there, I can tell you now, I'm the manager of one of the teams in there, and I'll tell you now, I know that'll be a tough game. I know regardless, if we want to win, we'll need to be at our best. So there'll be nobody that takes 3 points easily for them.
I mentioned about the Shorts game looking like it's got a draw all over it. Another one that looks like it's got a draw all over it would be Petershill Kirkcudbright for me. Petershill Park 2 p.m. kickoff. Jamie, which you mentioned Petershill gave you a right tough game recently. What's your thoughts there?
I'll tell you why. I think with Petershill, they look dangerous going forward. They've got quality going forward. I think they'll score goals in every game they play. I think they have different type of big. Is it Chris Ampenside, the boy's name is, that's playing up top for them? I think he looks comfortable there. I think he's grown into himself after a couple of years of kind of bobbing about different teams, and I think he'll score goals for them this year. I think he'll do really well. I think they'll win that game on Saturday because, as I say with Rob Roy, I think Rob Roy have got good players, but they don't tend to score many goals. It's always 1 or 2 as a maximum, but Petershill, I think they beat Thornwood 5-4 on Saturday.
Weird, just mad, isn't it?
And that's like conceding 4 goals. You can see there's an issue at the back, but with scoring 5, that they've got quality in their team. There's no doubt about it. And
Thornwood are a right weird side as well. I think, even I tipped them to really push up last season, and they did. They 3 or 4 games there. They spanked a few teams and then got spanked themselves. But again, we go back to that division's just mad. It almost is the fact that first division is just absolutely mental at times.
See on that game, I think Petershill will do really, really well this year.
Yeah,
I do. I think for what I've seen on Tuesday, I think they'll do well. I think they've got good players, they're a good team, and they look well coached. So, and when you're saying about how difficult the division is, I think I think it's the bottom 5. I think there's 3 teams in that bottom 5 that's been Premier League teams in the last 2 years.
That's what I mean. It is. It's going to be. It's going to be such a competitive league. Just on the subject note there, you mentioned Chris Ampensaz in it. Petershill, is that right? Eh?
Yep.
I'm going to ask you about that, Jamie, how he played, because I think I seen him play. I think it was Athley 20s, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I sponsored him at Athley 20s.
I thought he was going to go, to the top. He looked like a player that, he was young, he was hungry, but like Jamie said, he's bounced about. I think he was at Upper Arndale or something in the south of Scotland last season.
Wow.
I think he ended up at Broomhill as well.
Aye. So
I had a spell at Kilwinning.
He's been around a bit, so.
It's not that you mentioned that, because Ben, you mentioned he honestly, when he was, I went down and watched the 20s a few times, maybe 3-4 years ago, and the 20s put out a wee advert to sponsor a player, and I was all over the big man because I thought he was absolutely unbelievable. And the thinking process with me was, I'm sure he must have went into Athley, right? He must have went in at some point and played for them, but he's just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth, hasn't he? It's good.
He scored against me at Johnston Borough for Athley, so I know he played for them.
There we go.
Right, into the second division, nice and quick. Cambuslang Rangers host Lesmahago. Forth Wanderers at home to Blantyre. Kilsyth Athletic take on Ashfield, and Maryhill fresh off an 8-0 scudding of Ashfield are at home to Callilloco. Storm Athletic take on Bonnet and Thistle. Let's start Canby Rangers, Lesmahago. Ben, what's your thinking around that?
I think Lesmahago are going to be a good side this year with Darryl going in there, Darryl Meikle. Done a good job. And was kind of surprised he left to take that job, but I think he's a good manager. He knows how to build teams, and I think they'll be right up there. Canby have obviously started well. I think.
Yeah, they have
in the second division. They've probably had their troubles for the last however many years and struggled along and fell down the divisions, but. I think Lesmahago will just edge it.
Canby Rangers 4-2 Kilsyth. They beat them. They beat Larkhall 2-1. They beat Bonnet and Thistle 5-1. They lost against Blantyre Victoria 4-3. That's some decent form, and they're sitting fourth now. They'll fancy their chances, but like you said, Darryl. I know people have said he's just taking the Lanark squad with him, blah blah blah. But he's added to that. He's out. He's still out looking for players and to make his team strong. I think Les Mahego will have a right strong season. Fourth Wanderers taking on Blantyre. Jamie, your thoughts on that one, mate?
Blantyre
for you.
Blantyre for me. I think Ross has done it. Will do well there this year. I think he's recruited really, really well. Obviously a disappointing season from last year, but he's given the time. I think he's got experience and for this year, but guys that will be able to do well in that league, and I see them doing really well. I think they'll win that game comfortably.
Do you think that maybe not the best person asking a manager, but I don't want to put you in the spot, but do you think in that league Blantyre will find a level?
No, I think they'll come back up and do well in the division above. I wouldn't like to say that's somebody's level, but I think they should be in a league as a club.
We know as managers, we always aspire to do better, but there is a realism where Chris will have a realism where he wants to be in that. Do you know what I mean? I think that Blantyre will do excellent. I think they'll not be far off winning that league. I can't remember again. I've not got it in front of me who I predicted for this league, but it would have been it was Thorn, wasn't it? I predicted Thorn for this. But I do think that Blantyre will be there and thereabouts. My Muppet Az's team, Kilsyth Athletic versus Ashfield. It's at the sports ground. Ben, what do you think? How do you think that one will go?
It's probably one of these games at the bottom two of the division early on. You have to get a result. Somebody's hopefully get something out of that. But I think Ashfield probably just edge it for me again. I think we played them in pre-season. We did, I think, cut them about 7-0. But I think they were very early stages in terms of their pre-season and building a squad. But I think they've recruited a couple of players. I'm trying to remember exactly. But I remember seeing them adding some guys, and it was surprising that they'd signed Ashfield. So yeah, I think they'll do all right. Obviously, Kilsyth Athletic are in a different sort of era now. They obviously had Bailey Hanlon in there, who'd done a tremendous job for a number of years. And
different squad, by the way. I think they've only got one player from the previous regime.
So obviously a couple of boys from Kilsyth obviously went to Pollock as well this summer, and I think for them they're in a different place, and I think maybe their good times feel like have maybe gone, with Bailey moving on, and they'll just have to try and find a way to, hopefully make it work and get maybe stabilise maybe for a year or two if they can. But
they plucked Chrissy Callahan and Johnny Bennett from our amateur team, who were pivotal for us last year, and I know it's a different level, but they're two very, very good players. That seems to be the route that they've went down. They've picked up some boys that play at that level, but because of the two boys being down there, a few of the boys from my amateur team have went down to watch, and the kind of feedback for them is they're trying to play really good football. They've been really, really unlucky. They played a behind closed doors friendly last night and won 3-1 against an opposition for the first division. I know friendlies don't mean anything, but surely that's a positive to take into the rest of the league campaign, isn't it, Jamie?
It is. Listen, anyone can help you build confidence. So especially if it's against a side that are higher in the divisions. We've done it ourselves pre-season. You use it for that. So listen, hopefully they can take a bit of confidence from it. And
Marky boy at Mary Hill starting excellently. That win last week. I don't know. I know obviously Ashfield had a player sent off. I don't know. It's a very, very good win. Mary Hill Cali Locals at Auckland Park on Saturday, Jamie. What are we thinking? A Mary Hill win, Cali Locals?
I think when you score that amount of goals in your last one, you take confidence from it, don't you? Ben will tell us all about it. But I think they'll take confidence into that, and I think they could go on a wee run for there. Do you know what though? It's a fine line between being really confident and then going in overly relaxed and overconfident. So it's always an interesting. I think when you win really convincingly your next game, it's that wee challenge to keep the momentum there. But I think Maryhill will win that game.
And up at Thorn Park,
I was just going to ask you, did Sunday score a lot of goals or something the other day?
Not sure.
For the audio version, I'm shushing Ben.
Just to Sunday mentioned this. I'm just clarifying.
Kilwinning Rangers beat Drumchapel 8-2. So what? Thorn Athletic, Bonnet and Thistle. We mentioned about Thorn earlier on in the show, and we're talking to Ben about where he sees the second division sort of finish, and he's tipped Thorn to win it. You would expect, given the start of the two teams, Thorn Athletic, as difficult a game it will be, they should get through that, Ben.
Yeah, I would think so. I think, like we said, Thorn are a really good side and very capable. Bonnet and, probably a team again still trying to maybe find a level a wee bit. I've done okay so far in the second division just now. But, I feel they've kind of been in a false position moving into the West Scotland transition to from in the Tier 6. And they'll find their place, and they've got some good players, and they're good at developing players. And I think that's that Bonnet do, is they do that well, and they bring boys through and they move on to bigger clubs eventually at some point. So that's just the way they're going to be. But I think Thorn will definitely win on Saturday.
3 games in the third. Craigmark, St Anthony's, Girvan take on Glasgow United, and Knightswood go to Keppoch Park to take on Glasgow Perthshire. Jamie, Craigmark, St Anthony's. St Anthony's obviously down for the division. Above Craigmark, PG and Des were quite complimentary on them. I don't know a huge amount about Craigmark, just given the distance and things like that. It's not a team that I've followed very much, but they seem to be quite excited about Craigmark this year. That looks like a sort of middle of the road game, another one that you could probably go either way.
I think the answer have obviously had quite a tough start, and I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about Craigmark either. But I think with what the guys are saying, and there's obviously been a bit of an improvement down there over the summer, and the way things are going, you would probably say you would expect a Craigmark win. But as I said, I watched the Ants on Friday. I think they've got a few decent players. I actually think Martin's boy, what is it, Mac? I think his name is, the winger. It was really good for him. He's got a couple of others sprinkled through the team that are decent, so it'll probably be close. But I think Craigmark could come out on top there.
Girvan, Glasgow United, Ben, what's your thinking there?
I'm going to go, I think you'll hate me for it, but I'm going to go Glasgow United. They have got, really good experience in that side. I did Kev Nichol and Effie Ambrose just recently.
The weirdest announcement that I've ever seen from an ex-professional. Just kind of put out there, we've signed Effie Ambrose, we've only got 11 people playing the day, we're sticking Effie on the bench, he'll be here later. It was all a bit mad.
I actually just saw it from, I think it was the Ardea feed. He was like, they were like, yeah, Effie Ambrose has just turned up and he's getting stripped. You're like, what? What is going on? This is nuts.
There obviously was some rumours about, we knew Effie was coming back to Scotland this year. There was rumours, Jamie, obviously, of him going to the Borough. I think there was also rumours of him going to the Borough when you were there as well, mate. True or not true, Jamie?
It was put to me at one point, but it was something that we didn't fancy at the time. I think as you'll see throughout the years, I think when you go and you bring people into that level, I think the mentality is a big part of it. And I think that, not that I'm saying he does have it or doesn't have it, but I think that the 15 minutes turning up into a game, if that was me, I'd have less hair than I have now.
Yeah.
It's definitely a bizarre one. It's a bizarre way to operate, just be just rock up, no warm up, stripped, straight on the park and play.
I think, see, to be fair, I don't know what happened in that situation, but I think when you're at this level, your standards are everything. Do you know what I mean? And that's, to me, I couldn't start the game with that. I'm not, honestly, I'm not trying to say anything negatively about what has happened, but I just think it's not a great example to set for the others. You want if you're ex-pros that are coming in, you want them to set the standard.
Oh, absolutely. Right, absolutely. Perthshire, Knightswood, Keppoch Park, 2 p.m. kickoff. I think it's got a Knightswood win written all over that, isn't it? No disrespect.
I watched Knightswood down at Kilwinning in pre-season. I've got some really good players. really good young players as well. Boy Strew and Drummond for the Cali Locals 20s last year.
Aye, he's 17, 18. 17 or 18.
Really good prospect. But there's a few in that team. Goalie's good as well. Boy Omar Diouf.
He's excellent, yeah.
Yeah,
Really
he's very, very good.
So, no, there is a good team there. I think they'll do well.
There was rumours of the boy Omar actually going SPFL this season. But I think obviously maybe Knights would have convinced him to stay one more. Again, I don't know how true, how much truth's in that, but it's certainly a compliment to the goalie if that is the case. We are.
I actually heard a story about him that apparently cycles to training every Tuesday and Thursday.
I can believe that.
Doesn't drive, so just gets a bike and does cycles to and cycles back from training every week.
Turns up to training absolutely jiggered.
I think he lives across the road though.
Well, maybe not so much.
Yeah, I'm only kidding. I have no idea. I'm only joking. I have no idea.
Fourth division, guys. Ben's pick, Irvine Victoria, take on Egerton. Royal Albert at home in Newmains. Campbelltown pupils make that long journey to Valley Leaving, and Wishaw host Rossvale. Ben, we'll start with you, Irvine Victoria Egerton. I'm assuming that you're going to back your backer.
I am, but I'm going to probably get dogs abuse from Egerton, obviously, on our Kilwinning side.
Given that they play right on your doorstep.
They play literally next door to us. A lot of boys from Kilwinning, obviously, in the team as well, and Buffs 20s players and things like that are playing in there. So I'll probably get it.
Ben, am I right in saying up until Tuesday night, Drumchapel and Egerton were the only two teams in the league to have clean sheets? I'm 100% sure that's true. So Egerton must be decent enough. It could be a right tough game.
I think they are. I think they've got those young players, I say from the 20s, guys like Sam Duncan, Stuart McAlpine up front, that they're very capable, young players, and will get goals and defend well. But they've also got some experience in there too. That will. I think that goalie is excellent. I think he can be playing at a much higher level than Egerton. But I think for me, Irvine Victoria will just be that.
I think that's going to be a right peachy game. It's second versus third. Egerton dropping some points last night against Royal Albert. It was one each. They played one less than Irvine. I think that'll be a good game, by the way. That's going to make things
right in the last kick last night.
What was that?
I think the goal they conceded was right in the last kick last night.
Oh, was it?
Very late. Aye.
So. Royal Albert picked it up, did they?
Yep.
Aye. Connor's teams are quite relentless at times as well. They don't really ever they don't stop in terms of wanting to see if they know that something's there. They'll go and try and get it. The other games in that division I've went right off of that. What a bad one. Ben, if you get that up there, mate.
It's Royal Albert. What are you looking for? Is it the games?
Aye, the last couple of games I've came off the West of Scotland website.
Royal Albert, Newmains, Vale, Leaving, Campbelltown, and Wishaw, Rossvale.
Royal Albert, Newmains. What are we thinking about that one?
Yeah, a bit interesting one. Obviously, Royal Albert, like you just said, just picked up a point against Egerton and midweek. But I guess Royal Albert I always feel like they're in a bit of in trouble. But I think last season seemed to turn the corner a wee bit in terms of their squad and made some changes, brought in different management and things like that, which I think have helped. And they're poised in our team that in that kind of transition, rebuild sort of mode now and try to do something good. So Newmains are a stalwart. They've been around
been there, done it with the T-shirt, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. So I think they'll be capable. But I think Royal Albert maybe just get a little bit of a lift off getting the result and on midweek he'll maybe just help them a little bit. But I think it'll maybe be close.
Jamie Campbelltown visiting Valley Leaving. Where do you see that one going?
Valley Leaving for me. I think the travel's a difficult one for Campbelltown. I think Valley Leaving will do well.
It's almost like see when I see Campbelltown having to travel, I'm just the instant thought to me is they're going to get beat. It is a long journey, isn't it? It is a long journey.
Aye, but it's not just that. They've lost their first four, where Vale Leaving have won 2 out of 3 so far. And again, that momentum when you're travelling, if you've got that wee buzz about it, then it's different. Whereas if you're not getting the results, it makes it more difficult.
Yeah, Valley leaving fresh off a 6-0 win at BSC Glasgow as well, and Campbelltown losing to Wishaw, both sort of teams at the bottom of that league. It's quite hard. We're going to pushing for time, right? Apologies. We're going to jump into the Challenge Cup. I'm going to try and get the actual 2 seconds, guys. Give us a wee. I'm not going to.
Fixtures, Paul. You'll be here all day.
Oh, I'm not going to do them all, mate. Don't worry. I've got things to do and places to be. So we'll pick a few out. We'll start with Bells Hill Athletic Arthurlie, right? Because Bells Hill, if I'm right in saying, Bells Hill took on Arthurlie in a Scottish Cup game last year or the year before, and I think it went to penalties, which Arthurlie just won. I think Bells Hill being in a good place at the moment, 5-5. I think that could be a right banana skin for Arthurlie.
No, I would think so. I think Arthur a different team from last season. They obviously got promoted and won the league and stuff. But I think if you're watching, Wells Hill and thinking to yourself, yeah, they'll come here, full of confidence and have a really good chance of maybe stealing a result.
Jamie, what do you think?
I don't think there's any doubt that Arthurlie will be the better team and they have the better players, but Bells Hill will come in with that momentum. Again, that's big in the confidence. It is big in football, there's no doubt in that. So they'll believe they can go and pull off a shock. But if Arthurlie are at it, they should win the game.
Drumchapel taking on Oakley United. Obviously, that Tuesday night game will no doubt. Ben, I'm trying to keep a straight face here.
Sorry, what game is that? Sorry, Paul.
So the game against Kilwinning, obviously Drumchapel could be 8-2 that night. So I would imagine the message for Hopi tonight at training will be to get over that. I said to you off air, Ben, I think it is a freak result, no disrespect. I don't think Drumchapel could beat like that ever again. And I'm sure you'll probably agree with that. But your thoughts on Drumchapel Oakley? We'll start with you, Ben.
I would agree. Obviously, from our perspective, that result was unbelievable. Because the best 80 minutes of football we've played in a long time, and I think Drumchapel's still a really good side. We were coming into it, kind of fearing the worst maybe a wee bit, from a fan perspective, because you had started so well. So, going to a place like Oakley, that a kind of lower end East of Scotland team, it's probably a kind of nice game to get for Drumchapel to come back in and maybe just pick up from, scratch, Tuesday night and move on and get against a team who hopefully can go and score some goals against and just get their name in the next round of the hat. But I don't have any concerns that they'll not get through.
I was looking through these fixtures this morning, and one that got my eye was Albion Rovers Thornywood. That's a derby, isn't it? That's a derby.
I don't know. Do Albion Rovers acknowledge teams around them that are not formally? I don't know if it's a thing.
I don't know. Right, to me, it just looked a right interesting fixture. Albion Rovers Thornywood United. Albion have started okay. In the long league, they played us at I say us, Cumbernauld Colts. They played Cumbernauld Colts at the beginning of the season. It was a 3 each. They pegged us back 3 times, and but that's been a bit more about the lower league than I do. You've covered it, a lot longer than I have. Albion Rovers. What's your thoughts? Are they potentially looking at maybe getting beat off a team that are 2 or 3 tiers below them? What's your thoughts there?
I'm going to say no, because I think for me the big thing that Albion Rovers have done well this year is get that co-op agreement with Kilmarnock. They've brought in some really good players. Grant Marchant, for example, from Kilmarnock, who's a really talented player and well thought of in Kilmarnock's youth system. They've got Ewan Bowie come in there as well, who we had on loan last year, who's got a lot more now experience playing at that kind of level. But I think Albion Rovers will be absolutely fine. And I think with having those young players that have got real bags of ability will just see them through.
Yeah.
Sam Durra as well.
Yeah, that was the other one they got. So I think the co-op agreement, then you can get 3 players, and that's the 3 that they've picked up.
I've seen him last season a few times watching their reserves. He was really good.
I think getting that in place just helps. Teams, especially that have only been able to do that. I think we see it from probably our level, Jamie, that we can't do that, so we're not maybe getting the same loans as we were used to getting from these kind of clubs, because there's an easier way to do it through the lower league. And I know from our experience, we've got one boy in from Kilwinning, but last year we had two, and maybe finding it a bit more difficult because they've got these things in place for other clubs, and that's fair because that's the whole point of it, to go and get them to develop. But I think from Albion Rovers' perspective, it's a good bad business to get a good quality players on the door like that, and a kind of easy, cheap kind of way to do it. Because I think a team like Albion Rovers probably are in a situation where they're looking at the season going, well, we're not going to get relegated at the Lowland League next season, so why spend loads of money on players, because we can kind of consolidate ourselves a wee bit and just try and save a bit of cash and then maybe go for it next season. Because I think that's
the general thinking from a lot of teams in the Lowland League.
Yeah, I would say so. I think that you probably, especially these former league teams that have come down, I think that's their mentality. They're seeing an opportunity there to save some coin and bring in players maybe next season. But I don't know, Jim, you're a manager, you maybe have a better opinion on that. Do you think that's a good idea or not?
I don't think so. I think when you're a manager, you want to push every single year you're involved, because if you have that wee bit where you're saving and looking further ahead, might not be you that's there to try and do that. So for me, you make the most every minute you're involved and try and push and maximise it. If clubs maybe don't have the same ambition, I'd be questioning whether you're right to be there or not.
That's a good point. Last year's runners-up in the Scottish Junior Cup make the trip to Mettlesworth Park to take on Derive. So that's a huge game for Derive. Derive have had a decent start of the season, but that might just be a game too much for them, do you think?
It should be, but what I will say, I've seen some of Derive's highlights in the last few weeks, and it looks as if it's a tough place to go and play a football. I think that the pitch looks quite long and dry, and it's, again, I think Saturday's to be another day like that, and I think they've got good players there, so it could be a
Mettlesworth's always kind of been like that, hasn't it? Dalry have a lot of sort of Barhead contingency. Jamie, they've signed boys, sort of a lot of boys fair around this sort of area and things like that, and ex-Arthurley 20s and ex-Arthurley amateurs. I think the management team have built a right good team, and somebody actually commented, I never had Dalry in my top 8, right, but somebody actually commented and saying you're daft because they look brilliant. And when we're making these predictions, it's normally based on just last year's performances or taking a delve into previous results and stuff like that. It's not something that we can set in stone. But what I will say is, give Dalry their due. They started really well. They beat the Uni last year, albeit I've seen the Uni say that they had a lot of players out and a lot of players at Oasis. Why you're allowing your players to go to Oasis when you've got a game, I'll never ever know, mind you. But that's a bit mad there. It's a good result for Dalry, but I think maybe a bit closer than what we would think. I think that Trinent will go there. They will probably win the game, but I think that could be a bit closer than you would imagine. The last, we'll do a couple more.
I think Trinent will absolutely blow Dalry away. I think that.
Do you? Am I sitting on the fence here a bit too much? Am I just trying to be too nice?
I feel like I maybe try to play that, West bias a wee bit there, Paul. I think Trinent are a quality side. I think they'll be right up the top of that Lowland League. They'll push the teams at the top. If they're not the champions themselves, they'll be very much thereabouts.
Yeah.
You're changing there because you've got a bit of grief, Paul.
What's that, mate?
You're changing for getting a bit of grief there.
Do you know what? I normally just come on here and obviously I spoke to you about it, didn't I? Like a couple of weeks ago. I normally just come on here and say what I need to say, right? But I feel like I've offended everybody recently, and honestly, I don't know why. So maybe that's a part of it. Maybe I'm trying to make sure that I don't get absolutely pounded this week.
Trying to make friends instead, Paul. Is that what
do you know what? Maybe I'll just go back into that and not really give a toss. I'll just.
Views when you're controversial. It's fine.
How's your opinion?
I'll come on next week and just be an absolute a-hole. Right, a couple of games. Cumbernauld United, St Peters, banana skin material. Just St Peters. They're a decent young side. They play a lot of good football. Still Kenny up there, isn't it, Jamie?
I think so.
It is. It's still Kenny up there, I'm sure. St Peters, Cumbernauld. Do you think Cumbernauld will just have too much for them?
Aye, I do. I think Cumbernauld are a really good side. They're good players. So
They played the Cumbernauld Cup against Cumbernauld Colts, and they were outstanding in the first half and just dipped the second half. It was like watching two complete different teams.
They beat Villa last night with 3-0.
Bloody dog, man. Attention seeker. Last game, and it's just because I want to say the word Canio, because apparently his nickname's no Canio. The gaffer at East Kilbride Thistle, it's Kano. My apologies, mate. He messaged me last week to say he's getting absolute pelters for his group chat because I'm calling him Canio. I think they're calling him Canio now. East Kilbride Thistle against Livingston United. That seems to be maybe a bit more even a game. That looks like it could maybe go to penalties, that one. What do you think, Ben?
I think it'll be an interesting one. East Kilbride Thistle, obviously a bit of a team that, every year you find they're different. 1 year they're flying, and next season they're nowhere. I think that'll be a close game for sure, and I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
They've just got beat midweek off a resurgent Hurlford. Do you think that does that play on the back of their minds? Heading into the cup tie and Saturday.
It's probably something that gives you a case for a reaction and a reset. Obviously not a team that are used to losing. Do you know what? I hate commenting Johnstonborough, because see, when I say things that are positive, you've got that favouritism because you were there for so long. If you say something negative towards them, and I find it difficult, but they've got so many good players, you expect them to bounce back. I think, as I said to you, when we played them last week, and for the first hour, as I said, when we had 10 players, I thought we were a much better team. I was disappointed with what they brought to the game, but with that level of player that they've got, I would expect them going in Saturday and win a game. I would. And again, I would have expected them to win at Hurlford as well. I just think they have too much. They have far and away the best squad in the league. They have obviously the most resources, which brings the best players. You just expect them to win most games.
Yeah. But we all know the age-old saying, hard work beats talent.
Yep.
Hard work beats talent every day of the week for me. A predominantly West of Scotland-based podcast. So we're always going to be looking to back the West of Scotland teams. However, being in at Cumbernauld Colts now has given me a wee bit of more knowledge of the lower league a wee bit, and I'm learning more and more every week. It's the level's been shunted at times, and I actually think some of the football that I've seen so far, the Clydebank Cumbernauld Colts game was excellent. It was a really, really good game of football, despite the result. But with the West Loan League becoming as it is next year, we'll probably get a chance to cover that a bit more. We've kept it to an hour and 15 minutes now, 5 minutes chatting Johnstonborough bonus, but I'm delighted to have had you guys on. Ben, we'll need to make this more of a theme. We'll make it more of a theme. We'll get you on more, a few more guest hosts and things like that. And I've seen you messaging Johnny. He's got to pipe up at some point. And Johnny, get him on your show, mate. Say, Jamie, listen, good luck on Saturday, and good luck for the rest of the season. No doubt we'll have you on it at some point again. We'll make it a wee bit later on in the season.
Jamie, we'll be phoning them back up and like, Jamie, you want to come back on?
Do you know what it is like? No, everybody. I always expect managers to just want to do it, but no, every manager wants to do this. And I understand that. I get it. I completely get it. But we're going to, I promise that we made, all of us, myself, PG, Des, Johnny, we're going to try and cover the third and fourth division a bit more this year. So you might see a wee bit more of that. And maybe that's where we start and give them their place as well. Because I know we've been accused of just looking at the bigger teams in the bigger leagues. It's just something that happens. But for now, gents, thanks very much. Thanks very much to our sponsors of the show, ESN. Bespoke kit available local as well. They're based in Thornleybank in Glasgow. You can contact Gary on 0141 883 7612. He'll look after you. But for now, thanks very much.